Okay guys, so I wanted to make a longer follow-up video to my last Aurora Cannabis video because you guys had a lot of questions and some of you are kind of late to the party, so maybe you haven't checked Aurora Cannabis stock in a few months and you're not really sure exactly why the stock is up so much, guys. So basically what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to start from the beginning and explain exactly what's happening and why exactly the shares are up so much. So we're taking a look at the 1 year chart. So what this is this is a post reverse split chart. So the reason why these prices are so much higher is because on May, about less than a week ago, okay, Aurora Cannabis performed a 1-for-12 reverse stock split. So what is a reverse stock split? Well, a reverse stock split is simply when a company. Okay, so we're on Market Watch, and let's just talk about exactly what happened. So, a lot of things have been taking place. And as you can see here, I'm on this article. It basically says that, in 2018, Canada legalized cannabis, and that had led to a lot of people investing in Aurora Cannabis stock. And they had over 1 billion shares outstanding. It's actually one of the most popular stocks on the Robinhood app, so I can show you guys that really. Okay, so this is Robin Tracks. This is the website I use to track the most highly owned stocks on Robinhood. So the stock was #1 owned stock for a long time, but after kind of this whole reverse split madness and things like that, it's dropped down, but it's still one of the top 10 owned stocks on the platform. So going back to the article, basically the shares have been absolutely crushed. So this article is a little bit outdated. So this is kind of the pre-split price. So if you take a look at that chart, basically the chart, all of these prices will be divided by 12. But since the stock is officially reverse split already, let's just use the current prices because those older prices are not applicable to the current number of shares outstanding. So to give a long story short, basically the stock had absolutely tanked. And then the company announced a 12-for-1 reverse stock split. So basically, as you can see here, it says that it will grant shareholders 1 share for every 12 shares outstanding. So that reduced the amount of shares outstanding from 1.3 billion to 110 million. But they also issued a little bit more stock to kind of provide liquidity at the market. So that's ATM. So that means that they also issued some more shares at the current market price. So right now we're looking at the number of shares outstanding is a little bit higher. Okay, so why exactly did they execute the reverse stock split? Well, they simply did this to stay compliant with New York Stock Exchange rules. So to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange, you have to have a minimum share price of at least $1. And Aurora Cannabis stock reverse stock split had been hovering around the 68 to 70 cent range, which is exactly what I started buying a lot of it at around 69 cents. And companies just do a reverse stock split, although it's a really bad sign. In Aurora's case, it was an excellent opportunity for them to kind of get over that threshold. And they've also and they also added a lot of cash to their balance sheet by selling more stock. Okay, so I'm actually at their current balance sheet. I talked more about this in my previous video that I released after earnings. You guys can check that out on my Aurora Cannabis playlist. But basically they use the stock sale to beef up their cash position. So right now the cash position is sitting at 230 million, and that diluted the shares a bit. But based on their excellent earnings report, which I basically am looking at right now, and to give you guys the highlights, like I said, I covered this more in depth in a previous video, but they experienced a pretty big increase in revenue. So revenue was up 18%, and cash cost to produce per gram was down. And with a stronger cash position, that sent this stock on a current bullish run. So that's exactly why you're seeing not only did the stock reverse split, so for every 12 shares outstanding, you received 1, and what that did is it reduced the number of shares outstanding and increased the stock price. And then after this earnings report, the stock basically doubled in a couple of days. So guys, I hope that kind of explains the whole background of what took place from basically the nightmare that everybody was dealing with watching this stock plummet to now seeing it reverse split, a lot fewer shares outstanding, and at least the stock is over $10. So I hope that kind of explains everything, guys. And so what I want to talk about now is another question I want to address for where you guys were talking about is that this stock is a pump and pump and dump. And I have to highly disagree with that, guys. So I know a lot of you guys out there are really smart investors. You guys have made a lot of money in the stock market. But this is an example where I think that the company has made a lot of changes. So probably the biggest change that the company has made is that the founder of the company actually stepped down. So there's a completely new CEO leading the helm. And one of the most important things about a company is its CEO. The CEO, obviously you have the board of directors, CTO, CFO, and things like that. But the CEO is like the quarterback. And we all know, for you guys out there, you guys are American, you guys like watching football. We all know that basically the chances of your team making the Super Bowl is based on the quality of your quarterback. So you guys take a look at the Chiefs, who just won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes was the last season's MVP. So last season's MVP, the next season he wins the Super Bowl. So there's no way that any company is going to perform well unless the CEO, i.e. the quarterback, is really, really good. So this example, the new CEO, he's an interim guy, and he's made a lot of changes since he stepped in February, and that's why I think you've seen a much improvement in the stock price. The stock really needed to reverse stock split, but management was slow to make the changes. So the new interim CEO, he took action. He reverse split the stock. Okay, that problem solved. Then they were spending too much money. He cut staff. That problem was solved. The company didn't have enough money. They didn't have a nice cash balance, so he issued more shares, bumped up the cash balance to 200 million. That was a good sign. When the coronavirus pandemic hit, they were able to reduce their cash costs per gram and increase revenue. So obviously he can't completely turn the company around in like a couple of months, but from February to May, I think he's done an incredible job. I mean, it's really difficult to manage any type of company, let alone a very, growing company in a brand new industry that has extremely high demands from a lot of millennial investors that were watching the stock price decline. So what this new CEO has to do, guys, and if you guys aren't familiar with him, his name is Mike. Okay, so the new CEO, his name is Michael Singer, and he took over from Terry Booth. So Terry Booth was the original founder of the company, but sometimes the founder isn't the best person to actually run the company, because just like I said, sometimes the founder can take more of a role as kind of a board of directors, owner, while the CEO is the quarterback. So, like I said, a lot of smart companies out there. If you guys watch football, a lot of smart owners. They're not trying to be the quarterback. You just hire Tom Brady, or you hire Patrick Mahomes. That's the way you win the Super Bowl. So I think this is kind of the similar situation that we're seeing with Aurora Cannabis. They're finally putting someone in there that's taking the right steps to make this a profitable company. And the fact that there's a new CEO for me, and that the company has finally turned a profit, I don't think this stock is a pump and dump. I think there's been a significant change in the revenue, in the people that are in charge of the company. So I'm gonna have to disagree with you guys. I'm still holding on my shares. I'm finally up. My average cost is around $10 post split. So, I was waiting very patiently, and now that I'm sitting on around 54 shares or so, I'm pretty happy with what I've seen so far. And we're not going to really know what's going on with the company until after the CEO has been there for an entire year. So the fact that the interim CEO has been there for only 3 months, I would like to see Michael Singer perhaps run this company for a year and see if this is the right thing for him, because he's done really well over the last 3 months. In an environment where a lot of companies are basically gone bankrupt or basically have lost a ton of their revenue, the fact that to increase revenue, increase cash, and decrease cash calls per gram, while in this crazy kind of situation that we're dealing with around the globe, I think it's an awesome step forward, guys. So, guys, I hope this provides more in-depth clarification. Like I said, be sure to check out that quarterly earnings report. You guys can check out that information on Aurora Cannabis's site. I think it's really important to read these releases, guys, because in this situation, the stock price increased based on simply an increase in earnings. So this wasn't like hype or anything like this. I think this was a legit change in the company's underlying fundamentals. Usually with the pump and dump, usually these stocks are being marketed by paid promoters. So, people go out here and pay people with big newsletters and things like that to post press releases, to post, forum posts about stocks. That sends the stock price up. And then the people that bought the stock when it was low, they dump their shares to the public who buy the run up. But this is a different situation. I think this run up was driven by a fundamental change in the company. So I'm not going to say this is a pump and dump. I think that this stock has improved a ton. And I think it's kind of funny because right when people gave up on it, that's when things have started to turn around. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it provides some more clarification on my previous video. Like I said, I'm going to be talking a lot more about Aurora Cannabis now because it seems like they're starting to get things together, and the better a company does, the more interesting it is to make videos on it, because I was getting tired of kind of this whole depressing feeling that I always have watching the stock go down. So it's really nice to see some gains being made. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. So please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content on Aurora Cannabis and cannabis stocks. And I'm going to be covering a lot other cannabis stocks in the future. A lot of you guys out there have thrown some names out there like Green Thumbs Industries, Charlotte's Web, Hexo, and stuff like that. So I'm going to be covering a lot of these stocks for the upcoming week. And so please stay tuned for more interesting content. So that's it for now, guys. Take care.